Hello dear viewers, I recently rewatched some of my builds and decided to splice a few of them together with a twist. The monk and the healer archetypes meet in this old master of restoration, alteration and punching known as the prophet. He can make his followers effectively immortal, he can melt the undead effortlessly, and if the need arises, he can deal with the various evils of Skyrim personally, up close, with his holy fists. The twist is, he took a vow of poverty, so he doesn't loot corpses and chests, except boss chests, the contents of which he uses as rewards for his followers, keeping nothing for himself. He also uses no enchanted items, as he abhors soul capturing and earthly splendors. The only magic items he is allowed to wear are the amulets of the 9 divines. This bizarre idea is made viable with St.Alessia worship from Wintersun mod, Alter Self and Blessed perks from Vokrii, and the Okatos recital spell from Apocalypse. He also has a great goal in life, recreating the Knights of the Nine in Skyrim. We will do it not through some special quest mods, but rather by free exploration and recruiting various brave and heroic NPCs into our new guild after testing them in the heat of battle. We can treat one of the Heartfire houses as the new priory and make the deserving NPCs live there. This idea requires some mods that won't affect your core adventuring and combat mechanics, but will just enhance the experience, so let's start with them. First, Soko's Guild Starter, a very interesting one, allowing you to recruit anyone into your new guild. You can also choose any location in the world as your guild's headquarters. I went with Windstad Manor. It is granted to you after some roleplay appropriate vampire hunting, and the NPCs following you into the vampire's lair can be your first recruits. You can then send them out to do some questing. They will come back with various items and gold, which will help you greatly because with almost no looting you will get richer quite slowly. Second, Spell Research, a rather overwhelming mod at first, but very satisfying once you get into it. If you are going to use it for the first time, follow the link in the description. We need this mod in order to become independent from questlines and merchants in obtaining our spells. It's not like the prophet would never join a guild. In fact, he will reluctantly follow the main questline and the Downguard side of Downguard, but the entire process of finding champions in the land, taking them for random dungeon raids, aka trials, building up your new headquarters, all that is rather time consuming. You may need to get some spells without questing for them. Third, artifacts, the Breton Paladin. Contrary to the OG Prophet, you will find the artifacts of the Divine Crusader yourself and then simply grant them to the follower you deem most worthy. Redeemed, cured, Serana, perhaps? Fourth, your favorite follower overhaul, preferably one that removes level cap from followers, so that whoever you choose to recruit, they will be useful followers forever. I used amazing follower tweaks, mainly because I'm most familiar with it. It allows for changing followers' combat style, choosing their stats on level up and teaching them spells, but unfortunately only the vanilla spells. So in the end my Knights of the Nine all used Standard's aura I researched via spell research. For the actual build mechanics we need Vokrii, Andromeda, Wintersun, Apocalypse, Triumvirate and Odin. Odin is quite skippable. There are maybe 2 spells that will make your unenchanted life a little bit easier, but most of your power hangs on Wintersun, Apocalypse, Vokrii and Triumvirate. Before we go any further, let's talk backstory and roleplay. The prophet was a priest in the imperial city once, and not a very good one. He was one of these universally loathed priests who never practice what they preach and constantly play politics. But the time came after the Great War when all priests were asked to declare support for the White Gold Concordate, and something snapped in him. He started having some unpleasant dreams about the future of the Empire and his own life. Some of these dreams were showing a far frozen land and black wings unfurled. It soon became apparent that if he refuses to support the Talos worship ban for any longer, his life can be in danger. So he fled to Skyrim and abandoned his previous life for the life of prayers and meditations, which he hoped could help him hone his newfound gift of prophetic dreams, making them more precise and meaningful. After years and years of this, in the last chapter of his life, his destiny will find him, forcing him to become a hero, even though he would prefer to act as an advisor and the manager of heroes. But he will not refuse the call of Akatosh, even if it detracts him from his own plans of restoring the Order of the Nine. Moving right back to the mechanics, the race is the Breton. I don't even know how to pull off a no enchantments build without a Breton, so don't ask. With Morningstar and the Atronach perk, you will get a constant 40% spell absorption, which can save your life against dragons and mages, and it can turn a cheap novice spell of wild healing into an almost never-ending source of magicka. The standing stone is the apprentice. We want it badly for the cost-free novice spells, which will help us survive early game, but also for the prodigy ability, making our spells 50% more effective or 50% less. But the good option is more likely. This will compensate for the lack of Amplify Magic School effects. We can also unlock the daily power of Vaporize by discovering all the standing stones. Once per day it will disintegrate a foe that would otherwise deliver a killing blow. It's going to be one of 3 ways of saving our life in near-death situations, which compensates for the low armor rating and the lack of Fortify attribute enchantments, and is also quite suitable for the character concept being saved by the gods or fate to fulfill your destiny and all that. The attributes ratio is simply an equal spread between all 3. Without enchantments it can be a tad annoying in spellcasting, but at least the novice spells will be free, and we can fix the problems with the Blessing of the Divines, which will be greatly improved with the St.Alessia worship and the Blessed perk in Restoration. Overall, when out of magicka, you can just switch to your monk mode, punching everybody with your holy fists. And when out of stamina, you can switch back to spells again. The Wintersun deity is of course St.Alessia. The ability to recruit almost anyone as your follower will suit the concept, but more importantly, the buffs to the divine blessings will make them very useful indeed, allowing you to overcome the challenges of a non-enchantment run. For example, if you struggle with magicka, you can choose the Blessing of Julianos, put on his amulet, and now you have 60 more points of magicka. Maybe you already have some shout perks unlocked, but you still lack the key spells. Put on the Amulet of Talos and choose his blessing. Later in the playthrough, with the build near completion, the best choice will be Amulet of Talos, because with the speech perks it will help you get infinite slow time, and the Blessing of Mara, giving us 23% discount on the restoration spells, which is most of our spells, both offensive and defensive. The main skills are Restoration, Alteration, Illusion, Light Armor and Speech, but unperked Destruction, Alchemy and Sneak will also be helpful. Wearing no armor allows unperked Sneak to be quite useful, especially with some Fortify Sneak potions. With some Detect Life spells or the Aura, Whisper, Shout, you can stay prepared and plan your actions ahead of time. We only use 2 distraction spells, one of which, Holy Shock, will be cast for free through Okato's Recital, and the other, Consecrated Ground, is quite cheap by itself. Still, the skill will slowly grow over time. Alchemy, well, unperked alchemy seems to be a waste of time, but actually with 100 alchemy you can make 30% Fortify Destruction potions. No Fortify alchemy gear required, improving both those spells noticeably. You can also make 24% buffs to Alteration spells and the Slow Time Shout, as well as to restoration spells, which will make the zero-cost spell of Wild Healing heal almost 90 health and deal the same amount of damage to enemies when the harm perk is taken. It is kinda worth it, and since you don't loot enemies, having some source of income can also help in fulfilling the playthrough's goals. But for the actually main skills, we need plenty of restoration perks. Harm to make healing spells, especially Wild Healing, deal damage to our enemies, both ranks of Sun's Judgment to use Sun spells such as Stendar's Aura against all types of foes, Necromage to punish vampires with a deadly combination of Stendar's Aura, Visions of Healing and Consecrated Ground, which all active together will just melt the undead around you, in quite a large radius too, and even more close to you.
Restoration is a perfectly valid school of magic.
Blessed is crucial, as mentioned, because it stacks with St.Alessia boon to blessings, and intervention will save our life every 20 minutes if a killing strike is delivered to us. In alteration, we take the right hand branch all the way up to and including Headhot's escape, yet another way to save us from a killing blow, this time by paralyzing the offending enemy. All 3 ranks of magic resistance were taken, of course, to stack it with Breton's magic resistance and also with the Agent of Mara ability. On the left, all ranks of Mage Armor, Okato's Preparation, Stability and Sorcerer's Robes. Stability is particularly important for achieving infinite slow time mode, which is really useful when we want to do some punching. Alter Self was used to increase magicka and then to get some resistance to shock and frost. Unperked Alchemy can give you up to 18% elemental resistance, and Resist Elements Odin spell has 35% resistance. With your spell absorption, magic resistance and time become Ethereal Shout, you should be dragon ready. Illusion spells will be useful mostly before the build is complete, as they will definitely get overshadowed over time. Nevertheless, some courage spells increased with dual casting are roleplay appropriate, and a well-targeted rout spell combined with marked for death shout can change many enemies into helpless, terrified prey for your followers. And to polish things up, we simply need all the unarmed combat perks in light armor and all the shouting perks in speech. Tonal harmony in speech is of top priority. It heals all 3 attributes each time you shout. Characters investing in all 3 attributes always seem to be out of one attribute or another at some point, so restoring them each time you shout will just be immeasurably helpful. Spells and shouts are by far the most vital component of the build. As soon as possible, put Visions of Healing, Stave of Ferocity and Holy Shock in Okato's recital. This way, you will reduce armor and magic resistance and deal extra sun and shock damage with each power punch, as well as reducing shout cooldown because of the Scald perk. At the same time, you will be absorbing heaps of health from a random enemy, and it will all be done for free, all automatically in effect each new combat encounter. Then you will also have a powerful opening move for each combat, casting Stendarr's Aura and Consecrated Ground. Both will deal damage over time. Consecrated Ground in a rather large radius centered around the place the spell was cast, and Stendarr's Aura of course around you. Since sun damage deal extra damage to undead and you have the Necromage perk, this combo will melt them so darn fast. You may consider simply shouting Become Ethereal afterwards and just simply waiting. Nothing will survive this. But if you wish to act as a supporter, you can use Wild Healing in one hand and the Aura of Might in another, preferably after using the Battle Fury shout. Aura of Might grants your followers a damage boost as long as you concentrate, and deals damage to anyone around your allies when you release the spell. Meanwhile, repeated casting of Wild Healing in your other hand will heal you and then bounce off to one of your allies to heal them or to one of your enemies to harm them. Unless you absorb it, which will restore a lot of your magicka, meaning you will be able to keep the Aura of Might for much longer. So whatever happens in this random wild spell, it will be beneficial to you. Don't worry. To further enhance your supporter play, you can use Channel Energies to grant Orcs Strength, Troll's Blood and Stave of Ferocity spells to your friends. Actually, any spells you would like, but these work very well in conjunction. As you also constantly, passively heal them with the Inspire perk, they will become unkillable enemy hurling death machines, which is kind of nice to watch, especially if you like a follower very much. Like Serana on steroids is my love, my newfound love. Who am I kidding? I always loved her. The Spirit Guardian spell was also used mainly because roleplay. I thought he should have a Guardian Angel. It is a very interesting spell, granting you essentially a summonable follower whose gear you can customize. Perfect for the times you go solo for whatever reason. Maybe your new Knights of the Nine are all busy questing. And finally, sometimes the simplest, most direct approach is the best. After your Consecrated Ground Standards aura combo, you can simply use slow time and jump into the heat of battle with your bare fists up, slaughtering anyone in a matter of seconds. So the most useful shouts are slow time, become ethereal and marked for death. Maybe also aura whisper for those solo missions. Hey guys, I'm editing this beautiful mess here. I realize I completely forgot the God Form spell, Triumvirate I believe spell. It's a master spell, it's a neat little spell. It's a spell that doesn't cost you anything, but it gives you heaps of magicka regeneration over time. Well, that's the regeneration thing, yes, over time belly. And it only works if you have above 50%, I believe, but it is perfect for this build. It is the final step for you to completely get rid of the problems related to low attributes and the broad attribute spread and all the things that come with builds like this. With the spell active, you will definitely outpace the spending with regeneration, so you will effectively have most of your spells for free, and that is a late game thing, but it's rather exciting. Okay, this is it actually. This is everything about the spells. No more spells. And by the 9, that is all, folks. This character is immensely satisfying, overcoming the lack of weapons and enchantments to become a beacon of hope for the future heroes, and a never-ending source of peril and fear to the villains of Skyrim was one of the best experiences I've ever had in this game. It is such a pity I had to rush it for the sake of the video. I still took way more time than necessary. Playtesting, yes. I just needed to know. I needed to know if it works. Very much. It may be a little bit grindy, but at least there is not that much crafting involved other than some alchemy. I just really hope someone will take it as a basis for a proper, slow, long-term playthrough I never got a chance to fully experience, because I am quite sure it's going to be amazing. With that said, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more. We will see each other again. Bye-bye.
Jugglers and singers require applause. You are a
gamer